You are feeding your dog a lie, and it started exactly in 1860. Before James Spratt invented the dog cake, your best friend wasn't eating science-backed nutrition. They were eating literal garbage and rotting table scraps. But here is the scary part. Spratt wasn't a vet. He was a salesman. He didn't create kibble to save your dog. He created it to empty your wallet. If you don't understand the dark history behind that bag in your pantry, you are gambling with your dog's health every single meal. Let's expose the truth. Feeding dogs before commercial innovation. Imagine for a second that you are living in the early 1800s. You look down at your beloved dog, but there is no bag of kibble in the pantry. There is no wet food in the fridge. So, what do they eat? The answer might actually disgust you. Before the 1860s, dogs were essentially living garbage disposals. They ate table scraps, raw bones, and whatever rot they could scavenge from the streets. It wasn't a diet. It was survival. Honestly, it is hard to believe we treated our best friends this way. Historians and veterinary records from that era confirm that canine malnutrition was rampant. They weren't seen as family members. They were tools for hunting or guarding, fueled by waste. But here is the thing that should make you uncomfortable. If you are feeding your dog cheap, filler-filled food today, you might not be that different from those 19th century owners. Are you feeding them specifically designed nutrition, or just modern-day scraps disguised as brown pellets? The reality is, for centuries, we failed them. But what happens next changed everything. And it started with a single accidental observation that would build a multi-billion-dollar empire. The story of Spratt's dog cakes. Now, let's fast forward to 1860. Enter James Spratt. He wasn't a veterinarian. He wasn't a chef. He was an American electrician selling lightning rods in London. You can't make this stuff up. One day, while standing at the London docks, he noticed something peculiar. The stray dogs weren't fighting over rats. They were fighting over hardtack, those rock-hard, dry biscuits sailors ate during long voyages. Most people would just see hungry dogs. Spratt saw a gold mine. He realized that if dogs would eat those dry, tasteless bricks, they would eat something designed for them. This was the light bulb moment. He created the meat-fibrine dog cake. But here's the unsettling part. Spratt didn't do this just because he loved dogs. He did it because he knew he could corner a market that didn't exist yet. He targeted your ego. He made you feel that if you weren't buying his cakes, you were failing as an owner. It's a tactic we still see today. If you think you are immune to marketing, think again. Spratt was the original influencer, and he was about to change the world of pets forever. Technology behind the first kibble. So, what was actually in these dog cakes? It wasn't just flour and water. Spratt used a mix of wheat meals, vegetables, beetroot, and dried unsalted beef gelatin. It sounds fancy, but let's be real. It was convenience technology. This was the Silicon Valley startup of the 1860s. The technology wasn't just the ingredients, it was the process. Baking these ingredients into a hard, shelf-stable biscuit meant food didn't spoil. Suddenly, you didn't have to cook for your dog every day. You could buy a box and be done with it. It was the ultimate life hack for the Victorian era. However, there is a dark side to this convenience. By processing food to last forever, we started removing the fresh, natural nutrients dogs evolved to eat. You have to ask yourself, is convenience killing your dog's vitality? The industry doesn't want you to think about that. But this technological leap was the catalyst. Without Spratt's tech, we wouldn't have the massive pet food aisles we have today. Commercializing pet nutrition for profit. Here is where it gets interesting. Spratt didn't sell his cakes to the average Joe. He targeted the English gentry, the rich, the snobs, the people who show dogs for sport. He knew that social proof was everything. He paid for endorsements from veterinarians and aristocrats. Sound familiar? It's exactly what influencers do on Instagram right now. He sponsored dog shows. He put his logo everywhere. He created the idea that a purebred dog needed pure food. And it worked. By the 1870s, Spratt's was a household name in England and America. But let me tell you a secret. It wasn't just about nutrition. It was about status. Buying Spratts meant you had money. It meant you were sophisticated. Because nothing says sophisticated like a dry biscuit, right? But this commercialization created a new economy. Suddenly, pets were consumers. And once corporations realized dogs were customers, there was no turning back. But what happened next will surprise you. Because while Spratt was filling their stomachs, someone else was fighting to save their skins. A shift in moral responsibility. While Spratt was building his empire, something else was shifting in society. We started looking at dogs differently. They stopped being just animals and started becoming souls. It's a shift I think we can all relate to. When you look into your dog's eyes, you don't see a wolf, you see a family member. This wasn't an overnight change. It was a slow burn. But the commercial availability of food actually helped. When you spend money on special food for a creature, you value it more. It's basic psychology. We protect what we invest in. But here is the kicker. As we started feeding them better, we started realizing we couldn't just beat them or starve them anymore. The moral compass was spinning. You might think you are a good person, but would you have stood up for a dog in 1850 when the law said it was just property? It's easy to judge history, but this shift in moral responsibility was the foundation for the rights your dog enjoys today. RSPCA's fight against animal cruelty. Now, we have to talk about the heavy hitters. The RSPCA, Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Founded in 1824, decades before Spratt, they were the ones fighting in the trenches. While Spratt was capitalizing on hunger, the RSPCA was fighting against violence. For a long time, the law didn't care if you hurt a dog. It was your property. The RSPCA changed that narrative. They pushed for the Cruelty to Animals Act. They made it a crime to abuse a creature. This is massive. It is the reason why today, if someone hurts a dog, they go to jail. But here is the unsettling truth. The fight isn't over. We have laws, but we still have puppy mills. We have commercial food that is barely edible. The RSPCA started the fire, but we have to keep it burning. The legal framework combined with the rise of the pet parent identity created a safety net, but don't get comfortable. The law is only as strong as the people enforcing it. Uniting technology and animal law. So how do these two worlds collide? The biscuit and the badge. Technology, Spratt, gave us the means to care for dogs easily, elevating their status in our homes. The law, RSPCA, gave them the right to be protected from harm. It is a beautiful marriage, really. Because of industrial food, dogs moved from the barn to the bedroom. Because of the law, they moved from property to protected. Today, we have high-tech kibble, GPS collars, and strict animal rights laws. But let me leave you with this thought. We have come a long way from hardtack biscuits and legal cruelty. But as you pour that bowl of food tonight, ask yourself, are we at the peak of dog care? Or is this just another step in history? The next revolution in pet care is already happening, and you might be missing it. The industry is banking on you staying ignorant, but history proves we have to fight for our pets. Don't let them win. Smash that subscribe button on ChickaPaws right now to become the protector your dog actually needs. Your dog is counting on you to be smarter than the